When Elon Musk declared that Grok 3 is the world's smartest AI, he wasn't just jumping on the hype train, he had the data to back it up. He unveiled Grok 3, and across a range of benchmarks, it outperforms every other AI model currently available. In this breakdown, we'll dive into all the key announcements about Grok 3 and explain why it truly earns its title as the smartest AI to date. Breaking down the benchmarks. One of the first things everyone wants to see with a new AI release is the benchmarks, and Grok 3 delivers in spectacular fashion. Even its non-reasoning model achieves staggering results, outperforming recent state-of-the-art models like Gemini 2, DeepSeek 5.3, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, and the updated GPT-4. Grok 3 Mini, its smaller counterpart, is also pushing the boundaries and competing at the highest level. For those who argue that benchmarks aren't everything, the team behind Grok 3 went a step further. They tested the model against new, unseen benchmarks, and the AI continued to excel.
We actually kicked off a blind test of our Grok 3 model, codenamed Chocolate. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, hot chocolate.
Been running on this platform called Chatbot Arena for 2 weeks. I think the entire X platform at some point speculated this might be the next generation of AI coming our way. So how this Chatbot Arena works is that it strips away the entire product surface, right? It's just raw comparison of the engine of those AGIs, the language models themselves, and place an interface where the user will submit one single query, and you get to show 2 responses. You don't know which model they come from, and in the end, you make the vote. So in this blind test, Grok 3, an early version of Grok 3, already reached like 1,400. No other models has reached an ELO score, head-to-head comparison to all the other models at this score. And it's not just one single category. It's 1,400 aggregated across all the categories in chatbot capabilities, instruction following, coding. So it's #1 across the board in this blind test.
And it's still climbing, so we actually have to keep updating it. So it's 1,400, above 1,400 and climbing.
Yeah, and in fact, we have a version of the model that we think is already much better than the one that we tested here.
Yeah.
We'll see, how far it gets, but that's the one that we're, working on. We're talking about today.
Yeah. So actually, one thing, if you're using Grok 3, I think you may notice improvements almost every day because we're continuously improving the model. So literally, even within 24 hours, you'll see improvements.
So now, of course, is the juicy part, the reasoning models. So these models are basically models that think for an extended period of time rather than just giving you an instantaneous response. If you aren't familiar with why these models do this, it's because it allows the models to think for a longer amount of time, giving them access to better and higher quality responses, enabling them to be more accurate and tackle more complex problems. This is something that we've moved to do as an industry because this is something that, is providing promising results and will likely lead us to a truly smart AI. Now, when we look at Grok 3's reasoning capabilities in terms of the thinking models, those two also managed to surpass even the recently debuted O3 Mini that many people heralded as the smartest AI on the planet, but now that is unfortunately #2.
Yeah, okay, so let's see how Grok does on those interesting, challenging benchmarks. So reasoning, again, refers to those models that actually thinks for quite a long time before it tries to solve a problem. So in this case, around a month ago, the Grok 3 pre-training finished. So after that, we worked very hard to put the reasoning capability into the current Grok 3 model. But again, this is very early days, so the model is still currently in training. So right now, what we're going to show to people is this beta version of the Grok 3 reasoning model. Alongside, we also are training a mini version of the reasoning model. So essentially, on this plot, you can see the Grok 3 reasoning beta and then Grok 3 mini reasoning. The Grok 3 mini reasoning is actually a model that we train for much longer time. And you can see that sometimes it actually performs slightly better compared to the Grok 3 reasoning. This also just means that there's a huge potential for the Grok 3 reasoning because it's trained for much less time. All right, so let's actually look at how it does on those 3 benchmarks. So Jimmy also introduced already. So essentially, we're looking at 3 different areas. mathematics, science, and coding. And for math, we're picking this high school competition math problem. For science, we actually pick those PhD level science questions. And for coding, it's also actually pretty challenging. It's competitive coding and also some lead code, which is some code interview problems that people usually get when they interview for companies. So on those benchmarks, you can see that the Grok 3 actually performed quite well across the board compared to other competitors. Yeah, so it's pretty promising. These models are very smart.
Yeah. So Tony, what are those shaded bars?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked this question. So for those models, because it can reason, it can think, you can also ask them to even think longer. You can spend more what we call test and compute, which means you can spend more time to reason, to think about a problem before you spit out the answer. So in this case, the shaded bar here means that we just ask the model to spend more time. You know, it can solve the same problem many times before it tries to conclude what is the right solution. And once you give this compute or this kind of budget to the model, it turns out the model can even perform better. So this is essentially the shaded bar in those plots.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think this is really exciting, right? Because now, instead of just doing one chain of thoughts with AI, why not do multiple all at once?
Yes.
So that's a very powerful technique that allows to continue to scale the model capabilities after training.
So they also wanted to see if this was just a situation where, because they trained it for so long and on so much data, was this something that was just, overfitting and is basically just memorizing parts of the test. They decided to test it on the newer AIME 2025, and the results were pretty surprising.
And, people often ask, are we actually just overfitting to the benchmarks?
Yes.
So how about generalization?
So yes, I think, this is definitely a question that we are asking ourselves, whether we are overfitting to those current benchmarks. Luckily, we have a real test. So about 5 days ago, AIME 2025 just finished. This is where high school students compete in this particular benchmark. So we got this very fresh new competition, and then we asked our two models to compete on the same benchmark, the same exam. And it turns out, very interestingly, the Grok 3 reasoning, the big one, actually does better on this particular new fresh exam. This also means that the generalization capability of the big model is stronger, much stronger compared to the smaller model. If you compare to the last year's exam, actually this is the opposite. The smaller model kind of learns the previous exams better. So yeah, so this actually shows some kind of true generalization from the model.
That's right. So 17 months ago, our Grok 0 and Grok 1 barely solves any high school problems.
That's right.
And now we have a kid that just already graduated. The Grok is ready to go to college. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, it won't be long before it's simply perfect. The human exams won't be hard. They'll be too easy.
Yeah. And internally, we actually, as the Grok continue evolves, we're going to talk about what we're excited about, but very soon there will be no more benchmark left.
Yeah.
Now let's actually take a look at these reasoning capabilities in action to show you guys what these models can actually do.
Yeah, so like Jimmy said, we've added advanced reasoning capabilities to Grok, and we've been testing them pretty heavily over the last few weeks. I wanted to give you a little bit of a taste of what it looks like when Grok is solving hard reasoning problems. So we prepared two little problems for you. One comes from physics, and one is actually a game that Grok is going to write for us. When it comes to the physics problem, what we want Grok to do is to plot a viable trajectory to do a transfer from Earth to Mars, and then at a later point in time, a transfer back from Mars to Earth. And that requires some physics that Grok will have to understand. So we're going to challenge Grok, come up with a viable trajectory, calculate it, and then plot it for us so we can see it. And this is totally unscripted, by the way.
That's the entirety of the prompt, which should be clarified, is that there's nothing more than that.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Grok interface, and we've typed in this text that you can see here: generate code for an animated 3D plot of a launch from Earth, landing on Mars, and then back to Earth at the next launch window. And we've now kicked off the query, and you can see Grok is thinking. So part of Grok's advanced reasoning capabilities are these thinking traces that you can see here. You can even go inside and actually read what Grok is thinking as it's going through the problem, as it's trying to solve it.
Yeah, we should we are doing some obscuration of the thinking so that our model doesn't get totally copied instantly. So there's more to the thinking than is displayed. Yeah.
All right. So this was the little physics problem we had. We've collapsed the thoughts here, so they're hidden. And then we see Grok's answer below that. So it explains, it wrote a Python script here using matplotlib, then gives us all of the code. So let's take a quick look at the code. Seems like it's doing reasonable things here, not totally off the mark. Solve Kepler says here, so maybe it's solving Kepler's law numerically. Yeah, there's really only one way to find out if this thing is working. I'd say let's give it a try. Let's run the code. All right, and we can see, Grok is animating two different planets, Earth and Mars here, and then the green ball is the vehicle that's transiting, the spacecraft that's transitioning between Earth and Mars. And you could see the journey from Earth to Mars, and it looks like, indeed, the astronauts return safely, at the right moment in time. So now, obviously, this was just generated on the spot, so we can't tell you if that was actually a correct solution. So we're going to take a closer look. Maybe we're going to call some colleagues from SpaceX, ask them if this is legit.
It's pretty close. There's a lot of complexities in the actual orbits that have to be taken into account, but this is pretty close to what it looks like.
Awesome.
Now, Grok 3 also entered its agentic era, which is something that I'm not surprised by. AI agents are essentially the theme for 2025 and beyond. And essentially, they released something once again. I'm honestly surprised that all of these companies have named the product the exact same thing. They've called it, once again, Deep Research. Or in this case, they've called it Deep Search.
So today, we're actually introducing a new product called Deep Search. That is the first generation of our Grok agents that not just helping the engineers and researchers and scientists to do coding, but actually help everyone to answer questions that you have day to day. It's a kind of like a next generation search engine that really help you to understand the universe. So you can start asking questions like, for example, hey, when is the next Starship launch day, for example? So let's try that. Let's hit the answer. On the left-hand side, we see a high-level progress bar. Essentially, the model not only just going to do one single search like the current RAG system, but actually thought very deeply about, hey, what's the user intent here? And what are the facts I should consider at the same time? And how many different websites I should actually go and read their content, right? So this can really save hundreds of hours of everyone's Google time if you want to really look into certain topics. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the bullet summaries of how the current model is doing, what websites browsing, what sources verifying, and oftentimes actually cross-validate different sources out there to make sure the answer is actually correct before it's output final answer. And we can, at the same time, fire up a few more queries. How about, Elon, you're a gamer, right? So
sure.
Yeah, so how about what are some of the best builds and most popular builds in Python Excel? Hardcore, right? Hardcore league.
You can technically just look at the hardcore ladder. Might be a fast way to figure it out.
Yeah, we'll see what the model does. And then we can also do, something more fun. For example, how about make a prediction about the March Madness out there?
Yeah, so this is kind of a fun one where Warren Buffett has a $1 billion bet. If you can exactly match the entire winning tree of March Madness, you can win $1 billion from Warren Buffett. So it would be pretty cool if AI could help you win $1 billion from Buffett. That seems like a pretty good investment.
This suggests that its extensive training cycles have significantly boosted its intelligence. And with scaling laws still proving effective, the model is getting even smarter in real time. Grok 3's performance in key areas. To evaluate its intelligence, Grok 3 was tested in 3 critical areas. Mathematical reasoning, e.g. American Invitational Mathematics Examination. STEM and science knowledge. computer science and coding. The results? Grok 3 dominates. Even its little brother, Grok 3 Mini, is outperforming competitors. If you're thinking this is just a case of memorization from training data, think again. The team ensured rigorous testing on fresh, unseen datasets. Real-world performance, the chatbot arena. Beyond benchmarks, Grok 3 has also been put to the test in real-world usability through the chatbot arena. This is a blind test where users receive responses from two different AI models without knowing which one is which. They simply choose the better response. The result? Grok 3 is the reigning champion. The AI's ELO score, a ranking used to measure relative strength, has skyrocketed past all competitors. Even in blind tests where bias is removed, Grok 3 consistently outperforms others, proving that it delivers high-quality responses in everyday applications. The power of reasoning, a new level of AI thinking. Now let's talk about Grok 3's reasoning model, which allows it to process complex problems over an extended period, rather than just spitting out an instant response. This method enables the AI to produce more accurate and thoughtful answers, which is crucial for tackling sophisticated challenges. In reasoning-based benchmarks, Grok 3 once again leads the pack, surpassing even the most recently celebrated AI models. What's even more exciting is that Grok 3 is still being trained. This means its current performance is just the beginning. It's expected to get even smarter in the coming months. Can it generalize? Testing on unseen data. To ensure that Grok 3 isn't just excelling at memorized problems, the team tested it on the brand new 2025 American Mathematics Competition. The results were eye-opening. Grok 3's reasoning model performed better on this fresh dataset than on previous ones, proving its strong generalization capabilities. It's not just learning past patterns, it's adapting and applying knowledge in real time. Advanced AI in action, real-world challenges. To showcase its reasoning abilities, the team tasked Grok 3 with solving complex real-world problems. One challenge involved plotting an accurate space travel trajectory from Earth to Mars and back. Without any predefined scripts or guidance, Grok 3 generated a Python script that accurately modeled the journey. While final verification from aerospace experts is pending, the AI's approach closely aligns with established physics principles, an impressive feat. The future of AI agents. Enter deep search. AI agents are the next big trend, and Grok 3 is stepping into this space with deep search, an advanced research assistant designed to go beyond basic search queries. Unlike traditional search engines, deep search actively thinks through a user's intent, scans multiple sources, cross-validates information, and delivers well-reasoned results. Users can even trace the AI's thought process, making it one of the most transparent AI tools available. Where to access? Grok 3. Excited to try Grok 3? The AI will be available through Grok.com, where users can access the most advanced version of the model. There's also a dedicated Grok app for mobile devices, ensuring an optimized experience for users on the go. However, for the latest and most powerful version, the web platform is the best bet. Grok 3 is setting a new standard in AI intelligence, and with continuous improvements rolling out, its potential is only growing. Whether you're looking for advanced reasoning capabilities, real-time problem solving, or a smarter search engine,